alien spacecraft did not crash in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947.
You know flat earthers, I guarantee it. But you don't know who they are because they're afraid of talking about it.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system.
Hello and welcome to the 29th annual Subliminal Deception Podcast, your weekly dose of conspiracy theory bullshit. My name is Cody, and I'm joined by my pal Phil. How are you?
Doing good, Cody. How about yourself?
Well, I can say I've had better days. I'm sure anybody listening can tell I'm a little nasally right now. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I got the flu or what, but basically today's Tuesday. Yesterday I woke up in the middle of the night just feeling horrendous, and I bet I slept for about 15 hours yesterday. And I had the worst fever dreams ever. Just the worst fever dreams. It was horrible. Oh, I hate fever dreams so fucking much. Oh my god. They're just the worst. Other than that, how have you been?
I've been a lot, probably better than you've been. I don't know. It's funny. I have terrible fever dreams too, but it's so weird because my normal, I used to have really vivid, cool dreams, but lately I've just been having boring work dreams. Oh. So honestly, a fever dream would be a nice little change up for me.
Well, I mean, a dream about work's probably the true nightmare. But I kind of want to clear the elephant out of the room here, Phil. How are you feeling after Saturday?
Oh, you're talking about Iowa's
yeah, your favorite squad.
Crazy defeat against Michigan. Feeling pretty fucking terrible, honestly. I was at, I had guard this weekend, so luckily I was not able to watch the horrendous fucking ass beating. It wasn't, here's the thing. It was a really close, defensive game, only because both offenses played such garbage. It's just bad.
Yeah, I was shocked because I didn't think Michigan was that good this year. And I thought Iowa was kicking ass. Yeah,
it turns out when you're stomping on cupcakes, it doesn't really show what, you truly are. The Iowa State game was our biggest test coming into Michigan. And honestly, looking back, we probably should have lost that game. But
the Iowa State one?
The Iowa State game, yeah.
See,
so it was bad.
See, I think the Gophers are 5-0 now or 4-0 or whatever. No, I think they're 5-0. I'm are they decent or are they just playing clubs that are way worse than they are?
Yeah, I think it might be the latter. It's probably once you get into the ring with fucking Penn State, Ohio State, fucking Wisconsin. Once they play Wisconsin at the end of the year, then you'll see what the Gophers are really made of. But
see, here's the thing though. Yeah, there's Gopher fans in Minnesota, but we're just expecting to lose, so it doesn't really matter. I don't know if you saw the Twins got swept in the first round of the playoffs, so
I didn't even know the Twins were in the playoffs.
Oh, honestly. Yeah. First time they've won the division in fucking 10 years or something. They get swept by the Yankees, who keep killing them every single time they're there. They showed their little thingy. They are 0-15 versus the Yankees in the playoffs. Now it's 0-18. That's how fucking bad they are.
They need to bring back Kirby Puckett.
Can they resurrect him somehow? Can someone do anything to him?
Yeah. So I had a really quick, I had a funny story. So I know you just mentioned that you still need to watch it or listen to it because you've been out of work and haven't been keeping up on podcasts. I actually caught up on a podcast from Friday on Monday, and it's pretty good. It was about these shadow people, but they were talking about these shadow people watching you, right?
Yeah.
So I'm listening to the podcast. Most of the podcasts, they are speaking in a normal voice, so I have to listen to it on a little speaker because of the overhead cranes. I can't use headphones. So just as I've got it turned up to like level like 7 or 8, maybe they're speaking normally, and all of a sudden one of them like yells out masturbates, like super fucking loud, like for everyone to hear all around me. So I reach over to my speaker and I'm trying to turn it down, but just like on a fucking sitcom, instead of turning it down, I accidentally turn it all the way up to like 10. So, and then in rapid fire, they both yell out masturbates, like I think a total of like 4 times. And yeah, I don't know if anyone actually heard it because I sit like 20 feet away from the next person, but it's pretty embarrassing. I don't know.
Well, we should call out the show. They're from our friends at Creep It Real podcast, correct?
Yeah, it was a pretty good episode. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think our fans, if you they do conspiracies, murders, paranormal. I think if you want to check them out, I think you'd really enjoy them. I haven't listened to Shadow People quite yet. I'm probably gonna do that tomorrow. But Shadow People are, I don't know. It's a weird phenomena. It's really weird. Didn't you say you used to see them too?
So the weird thing is back at my old house in Lime Springs, I used to, well, you would see like things out of the corner of your eyes. Like, it's not like I see them like where I'm at right now. Like it was only in this house. You would see like things out of the corner of your eyes. It felt like something was chasing you down the stairs. Do you remember that bathroom upstairs?
I do.
Yeah. Whenever you looked in the mirror of that bathroom, you always expected to see someone behind you. Like it was really weird.
I kind of remember that. I always kind of got, felt creeped out going in that bathroom. I always remember that.
Yeah, the weird thing is that's the bathroom that looks out into the backyard. And the house that's buried in the backyard was supposed to be like super fucking haunted.
Really? I didn't even know there was a house back there.
Yeah, so in my backyard is where the old house used to be. And supposedly that house was even more haunted than the house that I grew up in. But there was only some hangover ghosts, I guess, living in mine. So
that's funny because, I don't know if I've ever talked about it here, but my childhood home has a house buried underneath of it that burnt down that I just found out like a year or 2 ago. And I always thought that house was haunted, when I was a little kid or whatever. So that's kind of weird.
Yeah. I always did think that your basement looked a lot older than the rest of the house.
Yeah, apparently, I just learned there's a house that had burnt down and they just built the new house on top of it. So if you dig in the yard deep enough, there'll be a house under there. Not a house, but like pieces of a house or whatever. Pieces of the house.
The weird thing is, like, the house that I grew up in, the new house was built from the wood from the old house.
Oh.
So, like, yeah, a lot of the main, like, timber or whatever you call it was used, like, reused for the new house. So kind of think that's what might be part of it. But
yeah, I mean, if you believe in ghosts and whatever, that's definitely something you hear. Like they attach themselves to certain things or whatever. Especially if you ever heard of that haunted airliner that like it was a crashed plane and then the company decided to keep all of the stuff from the plane like as much as they could, and they were reusing it on other planes.
No, I haven't.
And apparently, people claim they'd see ghosts there. They were reusing the chairs and like stuff like that. All right.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Could you imagine like trying to buckle your seatbelt and seeing little like fucking like pieces of fucking flesh in there and shit? Blood stains.
I'm just like, how cheap do you have to be to do that? But whatever.
Corporate America.
Well, should we dive in here, Phil?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, so this week we're going to do celebrity body doubles. Now, basically, when I was starting to research this, in my mind I was thinking more along the lines of like a doppelganger or something like that. But then I came to realize that a celebrity body double is definitely different from a doppelganger in the fact that the celebrity's body is being switched out, by choice instead of like a doppelganger who's just like what do they call it? Ethereal clone of yourself? Is that what you'd call it? A spirit clone of yourself?
Yeah, kind of like one of those deals where two snowflakes are made at once type situation.
Yeah.
That's how I always kind of thought of it. Like these random strangers who have completely different lives, like meet each other and they look exactly the same.
Have you ever been told, like, hey, you remind me of somebody, or hey, you look like somebody I know?
Yeah, the dude from The New Guy when I was in my younger years and I had hair.
Well, hey.
The skinny dude.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He's, what TV show is he on now?
He's on Supernatural for a bit.
Okay. I think he's on a show that's still airing right now, but I don't, Gotham? No.
I'm not sure. I just know he's on Supernatural.
Well, anyway, back to the subject at hand here. So, a lot of actors or musicians or whatever, they will hire people who look like them to do, say, nude scenes for them that they don't want to do in movies. A scene where there's like multiple of them, like that Michael Keaton movie. What was it again?
Multiplicity.
Multiplicity, okay. And you recommended that people go watch that because that's a good one.
Yeah, it's kind of good because it's so old and crappy. It's one of those. So,
it was, and the last thing was like for stunt scenes too. Obviously, they'll use a body double. Now, where the premise of this conspiracy goes is basically if a celebrity was to have accidentally died, or if they maybe they were doing something wrong and then the company decided to kill them because they wanted to keep the celebrity going and keep all of their wealth coming in. Because when you have a celebrity, there's a lot of people who, are getting rich off of them. So they obviously want to keep that going at all times. So it would make sense why some companies or some organizations might want to keep them, in the mainstream or whatever, right?
Oh, yeah. And you got to think they have a lot of money invested in that person, a lot of resources, people, like an army of people probably put a shit ton of time into that person.
Right. Right.
To get them over.
Well, we're going to start off with probably one of the more famous ones, possibly one of the more credible ones. This is funny because I literally, a few days ago, I seen something about Paul McCartney playing somewhere, and I don't remember where it was. It was just like him and another guy playing for a venue or something. I don't even remember what it was, but yeah, it's Paul McCartney. You've probably all heard of, what do they call it, Dead Paul, or Paul's Dead or whatever.
Yeah, the Paul is Dead conspiracy.
Paul is dead, that's right. So, in early 1967, a rumor circulated in London that Paul McCartney had been killed in a traffic accident while driving along the M1 motorway on January 7th, 1966, while he was returning home from the EMI recording studios. Now, I couldn't find any record of Paul actually being in any sort of car accident at all. That's what I was trying to find, because I would assume if he was in a car accident of any kind, that would give them some sort of nugget to start building the conspiracy off of, but I didn't see that he was ever in any sort of car accident, well, not in London or anything, so I'm not really sure how the car accident thing got started, but...
yeah. Oh, I was going to say, all of the conspiracies that I've seen made it sound like they covered up the car accident. Okay. So I guess if the conspiracy rings true, then you wouldn't be able to find any kind of newspaper clippings or evidence of a car accident.
I wonder if the Queen was a Beatles fan.
Oh, I'm sure she was. I mean, it was good for the income of the country, I guess.
Yeah, but she might have thought they were too rancy or whatever. Like they're too. Wasn't that a big thing? Like the Beatles were too. What do they call that now? Where they're just they're like Elvis was too sexy by thrusting his hips or whatever. I think the Beatles were like another layer to that, if I remember correctly. Like people viewed them as like, oh my God, what is this? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, we look at that nowadays and think that's very mild, tame, that's something that you could take to church, what they were doing on stage. But back in the day, that was, You got to think too. It was all the chicks going fucking crazy for him. That was probably
That's
part
right.
of it.
That's a good point. So
And they had long hair at a time when like dudes did not grow. That was considered long hair back then for a dude, and it's just a normal haircut nowadays.
well, I don't know. A few of them had bowl cuts, didn't they?
Not bowl cuts, but I
thought
know
one
that
of
they
them
had like
bowl cuts, like the Amish style bowl cuts.
I don't know if he had the Amish, like you put a fucking pot on top of his head and cut around it, like the dude from fucking Kingpin.
Hey, have you watched American Horror Story Apocalypse?
No, I haven't. I've heard that I'm supposed to watch it from like a few people.
It's actually really good. I was finishing it on my days off when I was sick here. But two of the characters in there, like they're supposed to be like tech guru guys who do a lot of cocaine or whatever. And both of them have like perfect fucking like angled bowl cuts. I don't know why they decided to give them that, but it's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, I gotta watch it.
It's pretty good. So on September 17th, 1969, Tim Harper, an editor of the Drake Times, the student newspaper of Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa, published an article titled, "Is Beatle Paul McCartney Dead?" The article addressed a rumor being circulated on campus that cites clues from the recent Beatles albums, including a message interpreted as "Turn Me On, Dead Man," heard when Revolution 9, also known as the White Album, is being played backwards. According to music journalist Meryl Noden, this was the first published article on the Paul is dead theory. Alright, so the rumor continues on that Paul was replaced by an orphan named William Shears Campbell, aka Billy Shears. Now, why Billy Shears? Well, that was because Billy Shears won a Paul McCartney look-alike contest. So that's allegedly why he was selected to apparently take over Paul's position after he was killed. Now, according to legend, the band felt so guilty that they had replaced Paul that they began to leave clues within some of their stuff. Like the funeral artwork for Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, if you play A Day in the Life backwards, you can hear a recorded phrase saying, "Paul is dead, miss him, miss him." Theorists think you can also hear John Lennon saying, "I buried Paul," at the end of Strawberry Fields Forever. So those are a few things. You got Turn Me On, Dead Man. You have Paul is dead, miss him, miss him. Apparently, for spinning the records backwards. And then apparently John Lennon says, "I buried Paul." Now, I don't know about you, if you've ever tried, because you always hear about, if you play a record backwards, you can hear, like, the Hotel California one's a really popular one. And I actually tried that, and it doesn't sound like nothing but a bunch of scribbles. So, do you give any credence at all to, when you play records backwards, that they are actually trying to hide something in there?
No, not really. I think it's just kind of like, I think I told you this before. It's kind of like when you look at clouds and one person sees one thing, another person sees another thing. Like somebody sees an elephant, somebody sees a pig, and somebody just sees a cloud. You know what I mean? Like sometimes a cloud's just a cloud.
Like you can convince yourself that you're hearing something or you're seeing something or whatever. Do you remember that kid who, I think he committed suicide because of a Judas Priest song or was an Ozzy song, that he claimed that kept telling him to kill himself or do it or something like that? Do you remember ever hearing that?
Yeah, I've heard of, I think I have heard that. I've also heard that, like, there's a conspiracy that, like, people claim, like, they throw audio into records, like, subliminally to, like send little messages to brainwash people. I have heard that. Like, it's the Illuminati doing it or the fucking record execs or Satanists or whatever.
Well, obviously the kid who committed suicide was probably had a mental illness, but as far as, like, say the Beatles putting that backwards on the album, I'm not exactly sure how that even works. If you want to hide something on a record to be played backwards, I would assume you'd have to sing a lyric that when you spin it backwards then can say what you're trying to say in reverse or something like that. But I don't know. I guess if anybody's bored enough, go ahead and try this, but I have a feeling you're not going to hear anything but scribbles. Now, Phil, I remember you said that you had a little bit more information about the Paul is dead theory.
Yeah, I did. Well, one thing I just wanted to say first off was I'm not sure if Drake University is known for its journalism department. It's obviously not known for its shitty Division III football team, but like I like it how it's not even like a prestigious school. It's it's some kid who probably is going to like his tertiary pick, like just trying to make a name for himself.
In 1969, it wasn't a good school.
I doubt it. And 1969, you know that kid was on something.
Oh yeah,
everybody was on something. You know,
he was probably an acid head for sure. If he was listening to the Beatles, oh, that's a good point actually. If these people are tripping on acid while listening to these albums, of course they're gonna hear this shit.
Oh yeah, they're gonna hear a lot of shit.
You're like that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. But anyway, Phil, continue.
Okay, so first off, we talked about the car accident. Now, supposedly, the car accident involved Paul McCartney driving down the M1, and as you said, he got in the car accident that supposedly killed him. And now the conspiracy goes that he actually picked up a young lady, and it was raining really bad. It was dark out when he picked her up, and then when she noticed it was Paul McCartney, she started ripping at him. Like all of the girls used to rip at the Beatles like back then. And when she was like ripping at his arms and his clothes, apparently that's what caused him to go off of the road. Now, the person that replaced Paul actually married a woman with one leg. Now, the woman in the accident is supposed to have lost a leg. And they're saying that in order to keep her mouth shut about this, it's actually her.
Okay. So Paul is actually married to a woman with one leg.
I don't know if he still is, but I know that he was. Like I don't keep up on Paul McCartney. You know.
Well, I'm pretty sure if they're
I'm
pretty sure if they're divorced now, she would have definitely been spilling the beans by now. Here's what I think's funny about the whole thing is that so we don't have a confirmed car accident yet. We have this entire story about a girl attempting to molest him in the car, then causing a car accident. Then he was being forced to marry her. Like, there's a lot of coincidences when there isn't even a root of the car accident.
Yeah. Also another one. So supposedly you said that the winner of the lookalike contest.
Yeah, Billy Shears.
There's also like a conspiracy that the reason why at one point all of the Beatles grew out creepy looking mustaches was because the Paul McCartney doppelganger had just had surgery on his face to make him look more like Paul McCartney. And he had a big surgery scar on his upper lip that he grew a mustache for.
Oh.
And to make it look not weird, they all had to grow mustaches.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's another part of the conspiracy.
Well, what if they were like me and they can't grow a proper mustache?
I don't know. They got to wear one of them fake 50-cent dollar store fucking mustaches then maybe.
Just get the glasses with a little mustache attached to the bottom.
The fake nose and the fucking funny mustache. Yeah.
Okay, so real quick here. So I know a lot of Beatles fans who like they're pretty adamant that Paul is dead. What do you think? Do you think he is, or do you think this is just a bunch of fun because the Beatles are extremely popular?
I think it's just kind of something that, you know, gets added on to the Beatles legend.
Yeah.
If it did happen, then it would have came out by now. Like real, like witnesses, real people, not just, you know, some kid at Drake University, you know, tripping on acid, hearing shit when he plays records backwards.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think I'm kind of along with you there, but if there's one thing that we could say, if he was dead in a car accident, I'm pretty sure they would have done everything possible, you know, to replace him or do something because they were like right at the height of their popularity, you know what I mean? Like they were on top of the fucking world at that point, so.
Yep,
All right.
definitely.
So we're going to move on to one of America's, I'll say one of America's sweethearts, if we want to call her that, and that is the lady known as Miley Cyrus. Now, this conspiracy comes to mind because Miley Cyrus did actually have a body double, and they wonder how she went from innocent Hannah Montana and then seemed to switch over to the nude-posing, weed-smoking, foul-mouthed Miley Cyrus we know today. Basically, she switched personalities almost in an instant, right? We all remember that. Now,
Yep.
One of the main things where I said that she actually does have a body double, there is a YouTube video you can watch where she's performing a show and you can actually see her body double come out on stage. I don't know if she's dancing, singing, whatever, and then Miley comes back out. So they do have somebody who looks like her. So a lot of conspiracy theorists kind of lean on that video. Now, obviously Miley was worked for Disney, right?
Yep.
And we know Disney doesn't have the best reputation. So some
The evil enterprise.
yes. So some believe that when her theory is going to have a few different angles here. So one of the first ones is that because Miley Cyrus changed her image from Hannah Montana to Miley Cyrus, it was giving Disney a bad name. So what they did was apparently kill her and then buried her body in the California desert, and then replaced her with a clone, as the clone was Miley Cyrus that we know today, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because if they're mad because she switched a personality, then her body double is doing the same thing.
Her body double is still going horror wild. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Or some claim that they killed Hannah Montana, made the clone of Miley Cyrus, but the clone was malfunctioning and now acts like the Miley Cyrus we know today because the clone doesn't have the life, whatever that Hannah Montana had. Like young Miley Cyrus and an adult clone Miley Cyrus doesn't understand. If that makes sense. I don't even know. This is so fucking weird.
Did you see the Black Mirror episode with Miley Cyrus? It was pretty good, actually. You should check that one out.
Is it on the new season?
Yeah, they have a new season. It's just 3 episodes, but Miley Cyrus is in the first one. It was pretty good. It kind of goes along with this, but instead of a body double, they use like a projected Miley Cyrus, or her character's not Miley Cyrus in the deal, but she is a pop star. Basically, like the older sister is the pop star's manager, and she ends up putting her into a coma and then uses her image to still make money off of her, because like Miley Cyrus's character wants to go out and do rock and roll and go have an adult life, but the sister wants to keep her young and making money.
Maybe it's a subliminal message they're trying to tell us that she has been replaced. So here's the other conspiracy with Disney, is that Disney is full of sexual predators and pedophiles, right? And if you want to be a Disney star, you have to give in to the pedophiles' demands for them to make you famous. And Miley refused their sexual demands, so then they murdered her and then made the clone that is now malfunctioning. That's another deep cut conspiracy if you want to. Now, okay, Disney probably might have sexual pedophiles. I will stand pretty tall with that one, but I don't know if they force their kids like Justin Timberlake or any of those other ones to have sex with them on there. What do you think?
There's a lot of weird shit that's come out of some of those shows. I remember hearing about, I think it's one of the producers of like a Disney Channel show, and it's like well known that he had this weird like foot fetish type deal. And there's always like supposedly like the shows that he produced, there's always these weird pictures of like the girls' like feet, like the actresses, like their feet. And every single like promo shot has their feet in it for some weird reason.
Was it Quentin Tarantino?
No, it's one of those slimy looking producer types. But, yeah. The third part of the Miley dying conspiracy is that she died of a drug overdose in 2010 and then was replaced by a clone that they wanted to keep her celebrity going to keep the money coming in. Now, I read something that if you watch, do you know her song Wrecking Ball? Yeah.
Apparently in the video, if you look close enough, when she's swinging on the thing, you can see that it's like a reptilian shapeshifter, apparently. That's what they claim. Of course. They say when she's swinging, you can see her mutate into like a different reptilian or something like that. So,
yeah, I can believe that she died of just a drug overdose.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Like, she went through quite a change. Like, not quite an Amanda Bynes level change, but it was pretty night and day. Like,
but Phil, that's not really fair because Amanda Bynes is diagnosed with schizophrenia, isn't she?
Yeah, there's also little conspiracies that she used to do coke. When she was on All That, but she would have been like 11. Like, it's kind of a weird thing, but they're saying that's why she was so fucking hyper crazy when she was a little kid. I
mean, that's possible. She did have that weird, like obviously she's not as funny as Chris Farley, but she had that weird kind of energy and sporadicness about her.
Yeah.
You know,
she had that whole let's start a business kind of.
Yeah.
Like, those eyes, those fucking crazy big eyes.
Let's start a bar. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I know a guy who's got a building. We can get a bar.
All right. So I want to read this tweet from this guy named Donald Marshall. I don't know who he is. Maybe he's like kind of famous or something, but he had a post in regards to Miley Cyrus being a clone. So it starts off, Miley Cyrus was talking at the cloning center last night, saying that she is going to be needing songs and that I will be making them. I said, no, I'm not going to be making any more songs. She said, yes, you will. I said, Miley, you are going to be in some lot of trouble in future for keeping silent about the alien body stashing crisis. She said, I'll just say I was scared. Aliens, hello. She chuckled. I said, yeah, but how long do you remain silent? 10 years? 20? What are you going to tell people? She said that I was scared. And I said, are you going to tell people that the fear of Vril caused you to stand in front of me with a knife and demand songs? You'd stab me? She hesitated, looked around at the stands as if looking for an answer. Then she, through gritted teeth with slithered eyes, you're going to die, motherfucker.
How long into this fucking story does Miley Cyrus end up fucking the hero, who is also the creepy dude living in the basement that's writing this
She's
bullshit?
Gonna kill him. She's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
So apparently she whispered that. I said, that's some appreciation. She just stared at me and put on an evil smiley. I said, I hope in the future when people finally rise up and start cleaning the mess that they burn you in the streets to death. They all went silent as if I just told the family that I didn't love them and never wanted to speak to them again. Then they just stared at me like, oh my, I can't believe he said that. Then people seemed to be waiting for the Elizabeth to say something like, well, Dunn, we're going to have to torture you for saying that. Then she said, perhaps we should burn you again, Dunn, for wishing an agonizing death upon us. Then the crowd started jostling and acting like, oh my, she's going to kill them. Oh my, oh my. Same type of behavior each time. Staged bullshit. A lot of them should be burned. When people see what they have been doing to people from the shadows, everyone will agree. So this guy, is he saying that she shapeshifted into a reptilian and threatened to stab him if he didn't keep making songs for her? Is that what you were getting out of that?
A little bit. It also kind of sounded like she was on stage. Like,
well, it sounded like he was a producer or something, or he made songs for her, and she was, I don't know, like being switched out for a reptilian, and she threatened to kill him if he didn't keep making songs for the reptilian version of her, or I don't know. It's fucking weird.
Who's this story coming from?
Someone named Donald Marshall.
Donald Marshall. Okay.
It's funny because his name's Donald Marshall, but in here he writes his name as Dunn, like D-U-N. Like, what the hell? Shouldn't it be well done? I don't know. This guy sounds like he's full of complete bullshit.
Yeah, I gathered that from the first 3 sentences. Like, I was a little on the fence for the first 2 when it sounded like he was actually like having a real conversation with Miley Cyrus, but he's
crazy.
Yeah, he's not a very good writer, so I think he should maybe.
Okay, Phil, do you think at any point do you think Disney murdered her? Or she died of a drug overdose and then was replaced by a clone? I'm pretty sure Disney would have the money to replace her.
Oh, yeah, no. Disney would have their money to replace her. They would just find a lookalike and then dub over the lookalike's voice on stage, though. I don't know about murdering. Like, these days it's kind of hard to get away with, all-out murder. Yeah.
Phil, they covered up a baby getting eaten by a crocodile on their property.
They did?
Yeah, you don't remember that baby who got killed by an alligator? It was like near Disneyland or like on Disneyland's property. And it was in the newspaper for like a day and then just vanished completely.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
See?
No.
See, they got you too.
Yeah.
They covered up the whole thing.
That's true. Well, then I'll put that on par with her dying of a drug overdose and getting replaced that way. 2%.
Okay, perfect. All right, now our next one is Katy Perry. I guess another one of America's sweethearts. Now, this one's a little different because it's not necessarily a body replacement. Now, have you heard of JonBenet Ramsey?
Yeah, I think I've heard of JonBenet Ramsey.
So this conspiracy goes that JonBenet Ramsey didn't actually die, but they faked her death, and then she became Katy Perry later in life. I don't know if they sold her to Disney or whatever happened. But JonBenet Patricia Ramsey was an American child beauty queen who was killed at the age of 6 in her family's home in Boulder, Colorado on December 25th, 1996. We all remember this because this was like big news. Every single podcast, a true crime podcast, talks about it. It's just a big tangled mess, basically, trying to figure out what happened to the poor little girl. But this kind of conspiracy, I wouldn't say makes sense, but maybe it could happen. This is one of those where you kind of just shrug, like, maybe, I don't know. So the reason they think that the parents faked their death, or faked the little girl's death, was for some sort of like weird ritual that they had to perform to then give JonBenet over to Disney for Disney to then turn her into a celebrity. Does that make sense? Like Disney is like
a little
like
yeah.
Disney. If Disney is in the Illuminati or something like that, is part of it,
or satanic or something like that.
Yeah, they have to have some weird ritual, or I wouldn't even say it has to be a ritual, but maybe they just. If we're going to believe this at all, they just gave their daughter to Disney like, hey, she's not really killing it in the beauty queen department. She's not going to become famous off that. We want Disney to morph her into a famous person or whatever. You know what I mean? I guess. I don't even know how Disney finds these kids, honestly. I have no idea. So
yeah, you would think, I was going to say, you would think that they would use JonBenet Ramsey, like they would want her backstory, like we found her, she was like doing beauty pageants and, we threw her on a TV show and now she's a famous singer,
Yeah, that could be, I don't know. But the whole reason this conspiracy comes into play is because a lot of people claim that Katy Perry and JonBenet actually look very similar. And if you look at their picture side by side, you can kind of see what people are saying. So the first thing they lean on is they have the exact same eyebrow structure and eye color. Now, apparently, the eyebrow structure that you're born with doesn't change much from as you age. So your eyebrows basically stay the same all throughout your life. so obviously.
Until you turn 70,
Yeah,
and they look
start
like fucking caterpillars.
Well,
Wash your face.
that's why you just get a facelift and then it pulls it up like Carrot Top. Just get a couple facelifts like him. Pull him back up there.
So you always look surprised.
Ugh, have you seen a picture of him lately?
Yeah.
He looks like a Ken doll.
He looks like a super ripped old lady.
Yes, that is perfect. I love that. So they also say that Katy Perry's parents and JonBenét's parents look extremely similar. Now, if we're to believe that Katy Perry is JonBenet, wouldn't her parents be JonBenét's parents? And wouldn't they notice that they're showing up to be with Katy Perry at wherever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Part of this that I have heard this conspiracy in the past, and the first thing I thought of was everyone always says, "Oh yeah, if you look at a picture of, JonBenet Ramsey and look at a picture of Katy Perry side by side, they look exactly the same." And you got to ask yourself, okay, what kind of pictures are you looking at? Because you're probably looking at professionally done, like everything, professionally done makeup, hair, photoshopping too.
Yeah.
So if you actually like found a picture of JonBenet Ramsey with no makeup and no Photoshop, which looking at like what her parents were like, I doubt you can find that. And then if you look at a no makeup selfie of Katy Perry, I bet they look absolutely nothing alike.
That could be. Have you ever remember when she was dating Russell Brand and he tweeted out a picture of her without her makeup on?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I do. That's the picture I'm thinking of, the famous one, where she does not look like Katy Perry.
No. Is that the reason that they divorced, because he did that? I can't remember.
I wouldn't doubt it if her handlers forced her to divorce him after that. Like,
I actually think
you don't see her around very much anymore.
Well, it's like he's kind of a ugly, homely looking dude. How the hell is he dating her? But I think I saw him on a show recently, and I think it sounded like he's a pretty bad drug addict. So, and he was just clean, like, within the last year or so. So it probably was that too.
Yeah, he was on Joe Rogan podcast, Joe Rogan Experience. He was talking about all of, I think he was on within the last year. But if you listen to him speak, he's kind of like a modern day prophet. Like he's like, it's all babble, but if you really listen to it, it's weird. It all starts making sense.
So you're saying he should start a cult?
He could start a cult. I wouldn't doubt it if he has in the past. Like, he's got that silver tongue.
But I mean, if we think about it, if you were married to a like severe drug addict, that'd be a fucking nightmare. I can only imagine. So.
Oh yeah, especially with the ups and downs that he had. While he was in front of the cameras trying to keep it together. I couldn't imagine like him sitting at home, just a regular old fucking, crazy thoughts coming into his head. Like,
all right. So according to YouTube user VK33, you can find proof in Katy Perry's memoir. There is a very specific quote that sticks out. Not that I was one of these let me say this quote. Not that I was one of those stage kids. There was no JonBenet Ramsey inside of me waiting to burst out. Now, apparently that's in her book. That's a quote that's in her book. Now, I don't know if that's just a troll quote from her or what, but, it's a very weird line for her to say.
She could just be referencing, like, I imagine she had a ghostwriter. Like, and you want to use a reference that everyone understands. So, like a stage kid,
Yeah.
Like the first thing you think of when you hear that is like JonBenet Ramsey, maybe the Olsen twins, but like,
Yeah.
Just because of how tragic and how huge that death was, like that pops into your head when you hear like a stage kid, like a pageant girl. You know what I mean? Like that kind of weird shit.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. Now, VK33 also leans on a tweet made by Katy Perry in which she is reciting the lyrics to God Bless America, which is the exact same song that JonBenet Ramsey sang during a pageant. So he's saying both of them two have memorized this song and that could lead to the fact that Katy Perry is JonBenet Ramsey. Now
That is weird
Yeah.
because God Bless America is a very little known that almost no one's ever sang. So
Now, I actually saw this video. During the 2017 VMAs, Billy Eichner asked the Swish Swish singer to, I think, who the hell's the Swish Swish singer? Must be Katy Perry. To blink twice if she is actually JonBenet Ramsey. However, the perplexed singer was quick to shut down the speculation, giggling and replying, wait, no, that is not real. I actually watched the video of him doing that. He asked her that real quick, and she just like kind of freezes for a minute, and then says, no, wait, that is not real. So, I know he was trying to be sneaky with the whole thing, but apparently, she's probably heard this quite a few times, people asking her that.
yeah, I imagine. I actually have to watch that interview, but
It's like a 15-second clip of this guy doing it or whatever. How about
it would be crazy if just at that moment she did have a reptilian shift, like one of those, like her eyes went fucking vertical, or her teeth, her fangs showed, or something like that.
she just bit his head off?
She unhinged her jaw and just swallowed him whole.
You know what? I'd probably actually applaud her if she did that, because we probably don't need Billy Eichner anywhere in our lives anymore anyway. So what do you think, Phil? Do you think there's any credence that Katy Perry could be JonBenet Ramsey?
Jesus. I'll give it like 0.5.
Okay, so basically not.
It's pretty. I've made a rule of not saying 0, but it's pretty low. Like, I mean, if it does turn out to be true, like that'll be the craziest like conspiracy to ever like become true. Like, of all the crazy conspiracies out there, that one's got to be like lowest probability.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
But I mean, the Earth is flat. Obviously, is 0.0.
Yeah.
But
If the government's lying to us about the shape of the Earth, then I guess they can lie to us about Katy Perry.
yeah,
All right.
Disney doesn't need to go that far into the fucking weeds to pull out a star. Like,
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
they've got a factory pretty much churning them out daily. So,
All right. So we're gonna move on. I don't know if this one was connected with Disney or not. Taylor Swift, was she a Disney star? I don't remember.
I do not know about that one. I know that she like went to a normal high school. So no, I don't think so.
Now, Taylor's might be the one that has about the thinnest amount of evidence possible. So they found out that Taylor Swift looks exactly like a woman named Zena Shrek or Zena LaVey. Now, Zena Shrek or Zena LaVey was the high priestess of the Church of Satan from 1985 to 1990 because her father was the founder of Church of Satan, Anton LaVey. I'm sure you've heard of him, right?
Yep.
So, and you should actually look up this picture because the two of them together look almost identical. Now, where people are saying this is because Taylor likes to talk about the fact that she was born in 1989, and she even named one of her albums 1989. Now, if you remember what I said, Zena was running the church from 1985 to 1990. So they make the connection that Zena LaVey had made a clone of herself to keep spreading the word about the Church of Satan. So because she was losing control of the church, she made a clone of herself that is Taylor Swift, apparently.
Huh. like a demonic clone or like a scientific?
Well, okay.
Like,
I think
is she using magic?
Now you remember now that Taylor has gone a little crazy. She did a little Miley Cyrus. Do you remember that?
Yeah, fame tends to do that to people.
Well, if Zena made a clone of herself named Taylor Swift, then Taylor got really popular, and Taylor could then maybe subliminally send the Church of Satan's message to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what they're saying. I don't really know. I think that Zena and Taylor Swift just look a lot alike, and that's probably about the most of that. But Yeah, I don't know. That's why I said this one's about the thinnest amount of evidence one that we have. It's just, I thought it was kind of funny because they do actually look extremely, extremely similar.
Huh. I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah, give that a Google. Taylor Swift and Xena. They have them like, pictures of both of them. They look extremely similar. All right, so I don't even think I have to ask you if you think that one's real.
Honestly, I have heard that Lorde is older than she lets on to be, and I've also heard less of this one, but I've also heard that Taylor Swift is older than she lets on to be. So I thought where you were going with it was that the Xena lady was actually Taylor Swift, but pretending to be younger.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of where I thought you were going, but
I mean, I guess that would make a lot more sense. If Xena just made herself look younger, and then, well, how old is Taylor Swift supposed to be, allegedly?
Well, 1989, I was born in 85, 34, so...
Yeah, she'd be 29 or 30
29
right now.
years old, yeah.
So...
She hasn't really changed much in, how long has she been famous for? A decade now?
Yeah, something like that. Well, okay, so, I mean, how old do you think she is supposed to be when she lies about her age?
Oh, I'm guessing she's probably, if she was actually lying about her age, I'm guessing she's more 39 than 29.
Well, then...
I'm guessing that she wanted to be a teen pop sensation, but she was already 30 by the time she got discovered. That's kind of the conspiracy I've heard, is that she's closer to 40 than she is 30.
Okay. Well, I think that would make... Because I think the picture they have of Xena, it's when she's on a talk show. And I would estimate she's probably 19 to 20, somewhere in there. So I guess it might line up in there, in that little groove there. And technically, if you believe the Church of Satan has a lot of celebrity connections, I guess they could technically have made Xena a celebrity through that route. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm looking at the pictures right now, so I don't know if you heard the tapping. I had to look it up just to see. She does look kind of like her. I mean,
think it looks a lot like her.
Yeah. Who is that chick who was married to Tom Cruise who probably never fucked him?
Nicole Kidman?
Nicole Kidman. She looks more like her. She looks a little bit more like Nicole Kidman.
I don't know. I think when you look at them side by side, that looks like Taylor, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I mean, they look similar. Once again, though, they're wearing makeup and they have similar hair, so it's kind of,
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
But I mean, you can see they have similar facial structures.
Yeah.
But, okay.
That's true.
Okay, so how about we switch the theory to Taylor Swift is actually lying about her age and she's actually closer to 40. Then would you think it's possible that she was actually Xena LaVey?
Yeah, I think Xena LaVey, if she was running Church of Science, or I almost said Church of Scientology, Church of Satan, God, she'd be closer to her 50s. But, I mean, if she is, doing all that crazy magic shit and she has, spells and crap to make her look younger, then maybe,
Yeah.
She's got that, what's that movie? Death Becomes Her?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty funny movie, actually.
Yeah, that's another old, not very good one, but because it's so old and,
Dude,
it's actually decent.
People love that movie.
Yeah.
What did they say? I've heard people say, if you really want to see Bruce Willis doing, some serious acting, watch that movie. A lot of people say that's, one of his best acting roles. I don't know how, but, because he always does action movies or whatever.
Yeah, I could see that. I haven't watched it since I was a little kid, but I remember a lot of people liked it, so.
It's good. It's actually Halloween, month, Halloween right now. Watch as many horror movies as you can. I guess that's not really a horror movie, but it's a, science fiction movie maybe, somewhere along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those,
it's like a horror comedy. Yeah, supernatural, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to our last subject, and possibly the most believable one, Avril Lavigne. Now, from 2002 to 2007, the Canadian pop star won fans over with songs such as Complicated and Girlfriend, as well as teaching us that you can totally wear a tie over a t-shirt. Now, Avril kind of had the reputation of a little different take on the modern female pop star around this time, but what people lean on is that she kind of morphed her image really, really quickly. Like, Avril really liked to dress kind of tomboyish, kind of like a skater girlish, I guess, if you want to call it that. Do you know what I'm talking about? Kind of a punk girl kind of look, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember during that time, that was kind of big. You watched pro wrestling back then? Do you remember Lita?
Yeah.
Yeah, she dressed kind of like that too.
Who came first then, Avril or Lita?
I think Lita.
You think Lita did? Okay.
Yeah.
Was Lita Canadian too?
I don't know if she's Canadian. She might be. Could be the next conspiracy.
So basically people believe that Avril died, and then again she was replaced by a clone or a double that looked exactly like her. Now, they believed, I think I might bring it up, that she died in 2003. They don't really say, okay, so they believe that the media was too much for her, and then she took her own life. And then they replaced her with a lookalike actress named Melissa Vandella. And apparently they knew each other in real life and, quote, became very quickly best friends. Have you ever heard of this Melissa Vandella?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I actually, I was kind of cruising for conspiracy theories for an episode, and I came across this one. I've heard that she was hired, kind of like how we said Katy Perry has a body double. I've heard that she was hired to work some red carpets for Avril Lavigne. I've heard that. I don't know if you're going to get into.
Yeah, we're going to go over what they kind of look like how they look very similar.
Yeah, like what they wear.
Yeah.
Is that too?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll let you get into that.
All right. So apparently, like you were saying, Melissa and Avril were good friends and would fill in for Avril. But apparently Avril taught Melissa how to sing like her in the studio as well. That's how the legend goes. Now, Melissa would supposedly take the heat off of Avril, like you said, by going out and acting as her and walk red carpets for her, like you had just mentioned. Now, because Avril had taken her life, they believe that they hired Melissa to take over for her to keep that money coming in. The main factors that people lean on are the differences between how the two girls dress. Like I said, Avril prefers more of the, tomboy, punkish look. And then Melissa prefers to wear dresses and do her hair up, put a lot of makeups on. And apparently, allegedly, I'm air quoting here, that if you look close enough, you can see that the new Avril has freckles. And that new Avril is Melissa. Melissa has freckles, and the old Avril didn't have freckles on her face. Were you seeing that?
I just heard mostly it was about the clothes. Okay. About how Avril Lavigne liked to wear the baggy cargo pants.
Yep.
And how Melissa liked to wear skirts and dresses.
So basically,
not really dress up like a tomboy.
Not that it's a gender guideline, but I guess Melissa likes to be a more pampered girl look or whatever, and Avril kind of likes her punky girl look, basically is what they're saying. But apparently, when I was reading, if you look really close at the difference between early Avril and, say, modern day Avril, one of them Melissa has freckles. So, with all that makeup on, though, I think it'd be really hard to see the freckles, but apparently you can see them. Now, they also mention, if you listen to Avril's first album and the following albums, you can hear tonal differences in between how the voices sound. So, it sounds like Avril had the first album, she died, then Melissa took over, and Melissa's voice is just slightly different. Like it's something in like I can't remember if it was like the high notes or the low notes. You can hear just a slight difference in between the two of them, allegedly. Now apparently I didn't see who was who, but one of them is a little bit high or taller than the other one, and they have different jaw lines. So Avril and Melissa have different jaw lines. It might be just slight, but maybe you can see the difference. I didn't see which one was taller. I almost think Melissa was the taller one. So we should have maybe when you make an Instagram post, maybe you could post a picture of them both on there.
I'll do that.
They also claim that Avril's original signature, her autograph, changed all of a sudden, and now the autograph is signed differently. That's the other thing that people claim. Now, the weirdest thing is that allegedly when this happened, allegedly when Avril died, any sign of Melissa Vandella completely disappeared from any sort of social media. So apparently she's just nowhere to be found. Like this Melissa Vandella just doesn't even exist anymore. That's what I was reading. Like you can't find her anywhere. So that's really weird.
Oh, so the doppelganger disappeared.
No.
You mean what I was hearing was when Avril Lavigne supposedly died, her body double, like all of her online shit, that went away.
Yeah.
Almost like she's the one who disappeared. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like her stuff disappeared because she is now Avril Lavigne. She couldn't show that Melissa was still around, so people could be like, hold on a minute, Melissa, you look exactly like Avril or something like that. She had to do the whole Men in Black thing, just completely fucking vanish off the face of the earth, allegedly. So, this is probably the one celebrity, like, switch out that probably has, I'd say, the most credence, because Melissa actually did exist, right? Like, people know that Melissa is a real person who, her and Avril were really good friends, and, like, they look very similar, and apparently they sang very similar. There's just slight differences or whatever. So, did you find anything else when you were looking in there, or is it just mainly the dresses?
Just mainly the dresses and, like, the slight differences.
Yeah.
Like, I was gonna say really quick, I was thinking about what you said. First album sounds different than the second and third one.
Yeah.
You can always kind of hear like a little bit of sound difference. It's almost like when they became famous, they actually got like better like recording studios, better contracts, better equipment.
Yeah.
I imagine that had something to do with it.
I'm sure.
Also, like people get older, like their faces change a little bit. Like, I'm sure also, she probably, like no one looks exactly the same that they did. What was that? You said 2003. That was like 16 years ago. So none of us look the same as 16 years ago. That's pretty.
God, no.
No. Yeah. It's not possible.
I mean, Avril isn't even in the spotlight anymore, I don't think.
No, I'm sure. I'm looking. I Googled pictures of her just to see kind of what you were talking about. And the differences that I see, they try to show her like what she looks like now compared to what she looked like in 2003. And a lot of it, they go off of like pictures of her, like Avril in 2002, 2003, she never smiled, but that was kind of her like little shtick. Like she never really smiled. She never really like looked happy. And then now, I mean, she doesn't like her, like the money coming in doesn't depend on her keeping up to the thing now. So she can just smile and do whatever she wants, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously the styles have changed too.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
You're not going to see like 35-year-old Avril Lavigne wearing fucking a tie over a tank top, you know, with her cargo pants down below her underwear. You know what I mean? Like, you're obviously not going to see that if she's a 35-year-old woman walking a red carpet. So
that's a good point. So I take it you don't. All right. Let's just get the percentages for Avril then, Phil. Let's hear it.
I'll give this the highest one. I'll say, honestly, 5%. Okay. I mean, I could see. Right. Here's the thing about this that I can believe. Taylor Swift, I really can't believe that one because you couldn't keep it up for that long. But
No.
Avril Lavigne, like I can imagine that Avril Lavigne, if she did kill herself, but she had a couple more like CDs to put out, like in her contract, I could see them just throwing the body double out there for the last tour or the last CD and then just dumping her, you know,
Yeah.
being like, listen, we just like, we know that you loved her a lot. So we need you to do this for her estate, you know, her family and everything.
We
just
need
get
that
out
money.
there. What's that?
We need that money.
Yeah, we need that money, but they're going to put it on as we're family, you know.
Yeah.
But I could see something like that in a movie. Like that is almost a story that like it's the kind of like if it did come out, it would be extremely crazy, but you'd be like, holy shit. And then a lot of people would be like, oh, I knew it, you know.
Yeah.
But I could see this one being probably the most plausible of the rest of them. But it's pretty small still. It's like 5%. I'd give it. I'll give it it's the crown jewel of today's
Of the celebrities.
Celebrity doppelgangers.
Yeah,
so I'll give it 5%.
Yeah, you couldn't really put much credence behind any of them. It's more, I could see them trying to do something like that if they wanted to keep the money coming in or whatever, but I think it would be really hard to pull off. But it's hard to say. You never really know. Rich people can do some wonky shit sometimes.
It would be super hard to pull off, but impossible to keep up.
Yeah.
Which is why, since she did fall off the map so quickly, I can see how they just wanted Melissa just to be Avril for a year. Like, just do it for 18 months, 12 months, whatever. We need you to do it, and then you'll go back to living your normal life.
Well, it says from 2003 to 2007, so I mean that's what 4 years. Just
That's
have to
4
keep it
years.
up for 4 years. Yeah.
God, that's a long time to keep that up. That's
Well, you know what? Maybe she did sing like her and everything. You know what I mean? It's think
but
about.
how famous was she in 2006 and 2005 though?
I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even tell you. I have no fucking idea. I'm not the biggest Avril. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not the biggest Avril fan. I just never listened to her that much. I'm sure I've heard her songs plenty of times. Not really into pop music that much. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, Phil, if anybody wants to email us today about their beliefs on celebrity doubles or complaints about us talking about celebrity doubles, where can they do that?
Well, we got a email out there, subliminaldpodcast@gmail.com. Go ahead if you think you have a doppelganger or if you're possibly taken over by a doppelganger, tell us about that. We love to hear from fans of the show. We've also got some Instagram pages out there, Subliminal Deception Podcast. It's all that on IG. And I've got my own personal one, SD Pod Phil. I rarely look at it or post on it. But if you want to talk to me on there, give it a shot. Cody, you've got a couple too?
Yeah, you can follow my personal one at Cody Sabub, or you can follow my other podcast, Bumblebutt Podcast, which is true crime and all of that fun stuff. The last thing we need you to do is to log on to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review if you would. You know what? Write something nice about us, right? We love you guys. We love Sub D. Blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. Just 5 stars. That's all we need. Other than... What?
Honestly, you can say anything mean you want. Just put a 5-star there.
Yeah, really. Right? We suck ass, but it's a 5-star. We'll probably take you more seriously. Anyway, so otherwise, that's going to do it for this week, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.